Liberal Dan Radio presents
Fat Man Rant.
There's been a lot of conversation going on about trans folk and Donald Trump wanted to pass a bill in the Senate, and all the Democrats voted against the bill in the Senate to keep trans women out of women's sports. And I'm not going to say it the other way, because trans women are women, and if we refuse to consider that trans women are women, then you're telling us that your problem right now is not with fairness or safety of the women in women's sports. Because you're refusing to refer to trans women as women, you're just proving yourself to be overly cruel, and you're proving yourself to have no concern about the actual safety of people. If you're concerned about the safety of people, you would understand certain things about what happens to trans folk when you enact harmful policies that specifically target them to treat them differently than the gender that they are, instead of the gender that's on their birth certificate. But when it comes to trans athletes, there's no real evidence out there to show that trans athletes as a whole have any real advantage over the cisgender women in those same sports. However, if a young trans woman who is an athlete would have any advantage competing at a high school level against other cis athletes, the odds that your cisgender daughter is going to miss out on some scholarship because of somebody trans competing against them, the odds of that happening are slim to none. First of all, young boys are never going to want to pretend to be women to just get ahead. Toxic masculinity and transphobia makes it hard enough for trans women to come out of the closet. You think a young cisgender man is going to want to deal with all that just to get ahead in sports? Of course not. They're not going to want to do that. And also, young men and young women don't have the same number of hormones. Are we going to weed out cis women with unusually high testosterone levels because it's unfair to the other women too? We could manufacture any number of things that might give some folks an unfair advantage in getting sports scholarships. What about parents who have the time and money to get their kids special trainers? Isn't that unfair to the children whose parents can't afford that, or who don't have the time to give them extra training for the sports that they want to participate in? What about children with health issues, like hyper or hypothyroidism, that might predispose them to being overweight? Isn't that unfair to them that they can't compete for these sports-related scholarships? It seems to me like we are absolutely cherry-picking fairness. And that's what we're doing. We're cherry-picking what's fair and what's not in order to justify the culture war of using government to attack trans people. Furthermore, there was an article that I had read on this that basically said that there was a young woman who finished in 8th place and missed making the finals or making some statewide event or whatever by 2 spots. 5 other cis women finished better than she did. So what was her excuse for not beating them? If she would have beaten them, she would have gotten into the next level or the scholarship or whatever it is she was trying to compete for. And maybe the issue here is that we shouldn't be forcing kids to have to rely on athletics to further their education or to succeed at life. Let sports be done for the sake of sports, and don't make kids stress over whether or not they're going to be able to get a good education simply because they were able to participate in a sport or not. Furthermore, there are studies that have shown that for each person who accepts a young trans person for who they are, that person is 50% less likely to commit suicide. So I think protecting the lives of trans folk is much more important than the idea that little Sally might miss out on some sort of college scholarship. And again, if you're somebody who's unwilling to use somebody's proper pronouns, if you're somebody who mocks pronoun use altogether, if you're somebody who, is against, trans people using the bathroom that they would more likely fit in than the other restroom, if you're somebody who's taking any other steps when it comes to trans issues, if you're making the false argument that there are children out there who are being having their genitals changed or whatever simply because of the fact that they think that they're trans or they're saying that they're trans, no gender reassignment surgery, no bottom surgery is being done on any kids ever. There may be clinics that do operations down there, that's only to fix issues with like injury and stuff like that. So if you're making those things your issue as well, your problem is not with sports. Your problem is with trans people, and you're being a bigot. And you're just using these young women who participate in sports to push your anti-trans culture war BS. You agree with me? Disagree with me? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and unless you're a Nazi or a transphobe, have a good day.